When an incredible result happens in the playoffs like a 3-1 comeback, we often lose sight of the losers. We focus on the winners, well, except when it comes to the Clippers, who got their fair share of slander, but I think that was warranted given what Way Off P was saying. The robot was even kind of being a bit wild that season by all reports. Patrick Beverley was doing all that yapping on the sidelines. Overall, let's just say no one was really disappointed to see them lose from 3-1. But another team that lost, sorry to bring it back to you guys Jazz fans, but another team that lost a series from a 3-1 deficit to that same team that beat the Clippers was the Utah Jazz. And I think people just thought, well, they lost a 3-1 series, they lost in the first round, that's it, they're no longer a good team, all of that stuff happens, it's recency bias, that's the case that always happens. But when you actually look back at the series, they're up commandingly 3-1. Jamal Murray just played out of his skin for games 5 and 6, where he dropped 50 and 44, and then in game 7, it came to the final shot, which rimmed in and out. That's how close the Jazz were to going up against the Clippers and potentially going to the Western Conference Finals. But now, a few months removed from that series, the Utah Jazz look far better, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Now, before I do that, if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, I make content like this every single day, so, I mean, it's free, so if you want to do it, it would be cool, and it does help me out, so it would just be appreciated. Look, I've heard enough of this stuff about, oh, the Jazz are a good team, but no one really fears them out west. Like, you don't fear the Jazz because they don't have their big guns like the likes of Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James. I'm sick of this narrative. I didn't hear anyone talking about the Toronto Raptors as though they were going to come out and dominate the playoffs. Am I saying the Utah Jazz are going to win a championship? No. But do they have a chance at doing so? Yes, I believe so. And I believe they're a far better team than people are giving them credit for. And when you're shooting the ball like they're shooting the ball, and you've got everything going for you guys defensively and offensively, I'm fearing that team. I don't care if I'm LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm fearing that team because of what they're doing. And I'm going to start a bit abstract, a bit different to what most people would start a Jazz video. It's not about Donovan Mitchell. It's not about Rudy Gobert. It's actually about the GOAT. Yes, I said the GOAT. His name is Joe Ingles, and, well, something's been underrated about this Jazz team. We're talking about Jordan Clarkson, Sixth Man of the Year. I thought he was going to be Sixth Man of the Year. He's playing like one. He should be Sixth Man of the Year at this rate. The GOAT, the man who got inside Paul George's head, dominated him, kicked him and Russell Westbrook out of the first round of the playoffs single-handedly. The man who's going to pass the all-time record for Jazz three-pointers made at over 40% for 7 seasons. A wizard on the court, someone who can thrive in the pick and roll. The left hand that we haven't seen in a long, long time. The smoothest left hand of all time. Someone who should be knighted very soon, Sir Joe Ingles. That's who we're looking at. And he's coming off the bench. Joe Ingles is coming off the bench and people aren't giving it enough credit. I'm being 100% serious. Some of those things, yeah, obviously I was exaggerating, but we're talking about a bench that has Joe Ingles that would start for a number of teams and has started, 270 games straight for the Jazz. And now he's coming off the bench, not just by himself, but he's got Derek Favors as a running mate, another player that would start for a number of teams, and not just because they're good players. But you think about Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, the hype those two got. Okay, think about Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell when they were on the Clippers, but you've got two guys that don't shrink in the playoffs and to have a fantastic pick and roll partnership and play good defense. That's what you're getting with Joe Ingles and Derek Favors. And then you've got Jordan Clarkson, even George Niang coming off the bench. I know it's an abstract way to start. Maybe some people will have clicked off. They don't deserve to be watching this video if they clicked off after me mentioning Joe Ingles. If you're clicking off after that, just do it now, because you're going to have to get used to me talking about the GOAT in that kind of category, because he's that kind of player and he's coming off as a 7th man off the bench. It shows when they're one of the most productive bench units in the league. 35 points combined between Clarkson, Ingles, and Favors. The Jazz are deep, man. They're incredibly good. But we want to talk about them just as a whole. I'm going to start by talking about their offensive and defensive ratings. Stats aren't everything, but when you look at them being the 3rd ranked defense in the league and the 5th ranked offense, that's not very normal. No other team currently in the league is top 5 in both. They have the 3rd best net rating behind the Lakers and Bucks. And, well, look at the top 5 offenses and defenses from past years. There's only been a few because it's rare for it to happen. But look at it. You had the Clippers last year. yeah, the Clippers, they suck. They blew a lead. No, they're still a damn good team and were last year. You then had the Bucks and Raptors in 2019. Yes, an NBA champion and a powerhouse team during the regular season in the Bucks. You then had the Raptors in 2018 and the Warriors in 2017. So 2 of the last 4 champions fit the same criteria the Jazz are currently in, and there haven't been many other teams outside of that. Basically, I'm not saying it's a guaranteed ship, but it's a guaranteed ship. I'm kidding, but seriously, this criteria, I know stats don't tell the full picture. It's a good rule of thumb that if you have a top 5 offense and top 5 defense, you're an incredibly well-rounded and good team. And I don't need the stats to tell you guys, but I'm just going to tell you anyways. But outside of that, Utah are just so strong all across the board. I mean, they're making the most threes in the league and doing so efficiently. Again, notice the great company they're in. When I show some of these stats, you're just going to notice the great company they're in. All these teams that are seen as better and bigger. Well, the Jazz are often up the top of those lists or around the top. So, yeah, make of that what you will. But they're up the top in terms of threes, and it comes down to their ball movement. I mean, look at what Jordan Clarkson had to say about the culture and just what he thinks about Utah making the next pass and always opting for the best look. He loves it, and the team loves it. It's just a different environment. People aren't talking about that enough, but this team has been together for so long. They've added a few different pieces, but for the most part, they've been consistently very good and just made a few tweaks recently. Maybe a bit bigger than a few tweaks when you consider Mike Conley, who's been fantastic, I'm going to talk about. But a few tweaks that have taken them from a very good team to a potentially championship level team. Not getting carried away, not saying they're championship favorites or anything, but I still think you should put them in that mix of contenders. But anyways, getting back to the topic at hand. You obviously have the penetration that you get from Donovan Mitchell or Mike Conley, whose 3-level scoring matched with Rudy Gobert's pick and roll play. It's just so incredibly hard to defend that because you've got Donovan Mitchell, like I said, 3-level scorer, Mike Conley as well, and Rudy Gobert is such a lob threat. Plus, you then add that with the ability for Donovan Mitchell or Mike Conley to get into the teeth of the defense and then kick it out to pretty much at all times having 3 40% shooters. That's a pretty good offense to have. And that's why we're seeing so many good looks because of those guys and the plays they're running. Now, I alluded to it just then. Rudy's a big part of the offense and has been a very underrated offensive player for a long time. That's not here nor there. His ability to set great screens and roll hard to the basket, it's not flashy. It might not get him 40 points a night, but it consistently gets him 15 on 60% shooting. And when he needs to step up, when their leading scorer is missing in Donovan Mitchell, he drops 30 and 20. Not bad, Shaq. Not bad at all. So you can go hate somewhere else. Rudy Gobert is a better offensive player than people give him credit for. But just because he doesn't do a whole heap of things doesn't mean he can't be excellent at what he does. And what he does excellent is screen. Very underrated aspect of anyone's game, considering he is the best screener in the league statistically, creating more points off screens than anyone. He rolls hard and he finishes strong. That is all offense, screening and creating opportunities off dribble handoffs, which I'll talk about. Rudy Gobert screening for guys like Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson. All 5 of those guys can shoot threes off the dribble at a fantastic rate or shoot threes coming off a screen, which is what they consistently do. It's offense, it's easy offense, it's fantastic offense, and it's consistently good because they're all fantastic shooters. Rudy Gobert allows that to happen consistently because he's one of the best and most relentless screeners in the league. Now, I could continue to talk about the offense and how great it's been. Donovan Mitchell becoming a better playmaker, Jordan Clarkson being the best 6-man in the league and being absolutely flames off the bench. Mike Conley potentially being the best player on this Jazz team to start the year. Crazy, I know. Not disrespectful to Donovan Mitchell. I'm not on my Shaq type of stuff saying he's not a superstar. Whether he is or not, that doesn't matter. But realistically, Mike Conley has been fantastic. He's in that conversation. Joe Ingles, obviously off the bench, I mentioned him. He's a GOAT. Bojan Bogdanovic hasn't even got firing yet. Royce O'Neal shooting like 79% from 3. He's been insane. The list goes on and on. On the other side of the game, well, they're the 3rd best defense in the league. And I want to talk about Rudy Gobert because there's this narrative that he's a dinosaur. He gets exposed in the pick and roll, on perimeter players, all of this stuff. Is he the same kind of player Anthony Davis or Bam Adebayo is when it comes to pick and rolls and switching and going up against guards? No. But can he do a fantastic job in protecting the rim, help side defense and making those kind of plays? Yes. More importantly, this pick and roll play that people try to go against with Rudy Gobert, it just doesn't work that effectively because what Rudy does so effectively is he plays drop coverage to a T. He hedges his bets. So they'll run a pick and roll, the opposition. Say you have a 3-level scorer. Rudy won't go back to the rim so far that he's giving up Rudy won't go back all the way to the rim that he's giving up an easy mid-range shot. No, he'll kind of hang. So he doesn't allow them to blow past him, but also he uses his ridiculous wingspan to contest mid-range shots. So he kind of stays somewhere in between, and often if he does happen to get blown by, he'll recover and get a block because you can normally get past him, but there's a difference between getting past him and finishing past him because, yeah, he's got like a 9'3" wingspan and he blocks a lot of shots if you haven't heard the news. Anyways, Gobert defensively is a reason for this team being so good because of his inside defense. I don't need to tell you that, but his pick and roll defense is so underrated because he's more versatile than people give him credit for. You then add into the mix that you've got guys like Royce O'Neal, one of the better perimeter defenders for a few years now. Donovan Mitchell's improved on that aspect of his game. Jordan Clarkson has as well. And then a lot of solid defenders. Mike Conley's good, obviously. Joe Ingles, like, I could continue on the list. They don't have any weak spots defensively. They consistently hold teams to below their average field goal percentage and to below their average points tally. I haven't even talked about Donovan Mitchell. Well, yeah, they just beat the Mavericks without him. They're a fantastic team with him, fantastic team without him, as we just saw. Donovan Mitchell is doing his thing. Mike Conley has got back to his best basketball. Don't know what else I need to say. This team has been so legitimately good on every aspect of the game. They're making three-pointers. They're moving the ball as a team. They don't seem to have any kind of ego with who gets the most shots, who takes the last shots. It doesn't matter. They consistently find the right shots. And I think this kind of narrative that's come out with Shaq and those kind of people hating on him, it might just galvanize the team a bit more than they already were. Feel like they're kind of banding together. There was these rumors that Donovan was never going to play with Rudy Gobert again. Now they're like best friends again. So I see very little holes, if any, in the Jazz's team. Does that mean they're the best team in the league? Well, currently they are, but obviously it still means teams like the Lakers and Clippers are going to give them troubles because they're going to give every single team troubles. What can you do against guys like LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard? Not much. The Jazz will try a few different things. They'll probably try double teaming. They'll try leaving it up to Rudy Gobert to come over and help defense. They'll try a number of different things, and we'll see if those things work. But I have faith that them as a team, in terms of offensively being able to break down teams like the Lakers and Clippers, and then defensively trusting their strengths, which is trusting that someone will slow down LeBron and AD enough to the point where Rudy can contest their shots or someone can come over and help at the right time. That's what's going to be more important than just finding someone who's 7 foot, 250 pounds that can go up against LeBron. There's not many of those guys in the league. They could make something work if they continue to fire on all cylinders like they've been firing. Thought I'd just show some respect to the Utah Jazz because, I don't know, they kind of feel like they've just been slept on. They're currently the best team in the league record-wise. Let me make that very clear. On form, they are the best team in the league. So just thought I'd talk about the best team in the league. If you did enjoy the video, like it. It'd be greatly appreciated. Also, have a good day. That would be greatly appreciated as well. Other than that, I'll catch you next time.